The Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to restart swift deportations of migrants away from their home countries. The court did not share its reasoning for that order. Last month, immigrants were flown to South Sudan. Immigration officials said they were unable to return them quickly to their home countries. South Sudan has endured repeated waves of violence since gaining independence from Sudan back in 2011. The Supreme Court's decision pauses a judge's order which says immigrants must have a chance to argue against deportation to a third country if they believe that it will put their life in danger.
I want to bring in Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes on this. Khalif, this is something that I think people were generally surprised with. What was your reaction? And obviously, we can get into the scathing remarks from Sotomayor in a little bit, but what was your reaction to this?
Confused. That's the biggest thing I can say. Nothing surprises me now in this era with judicial decisions. You will have some judges that are not scared to do things that go away from prior precedent, and not that the Supreme Court had to do anything that the lower inferior court judge ruled. I'm talking about the Judge Murphy here, but what I can say is that I didn't anticipate it to be a order that was not to give us any type of guidance. So you just basically said that we're going to throw out his other order, but you don't tell us why. But then we get this dissent from Sotomayor that's 19 pages that tells exactly why the court should have went a different reason. If you're going to go and say this lower court judge got it wrong or didn't rule right, at least give us an opinion and tell us exactly what that you thought the judge should have done and give guidance, because right now the Trump administration is looking at this as this is a major win, you know, a win for America, a win for the Trump administration, but we don't know the grounds and why they ruled in the decision that they ruled. I would have loved to have seen that, and so again, my immediate reaction was confused.
You were just talking, Julian, about Justice Sotomayor. You also had Justices Elena Kagan, Ketanji Brown Jackson. They had a 19-page dissent, a very strong dissension in which they said this is gross on abuse of the court's equitable discretion. Why do they think due process is not even being considered here?
Well, because if the original judge said that his argument wasn't that the Trump administration could not deport these folks. That wasn't the Judge Murphy's ruling. Judge Murphy in his ruling said that prior to you deporting these folks, they need an opportunity to be heard. They need notice of a hearing. They need an opportunity to tell, hey, what persecution am I running from? People are coming to this country for a number of things. And even though we can, you know, sensationalize, you know, the violent criminals that come here, the overwhelming majority of people that attempt to come into this country are coming for an opportunity to look for some type of brighter future or running from someone that's attempting to, as Jackson or Sotomayor says, torture or kill them in their other country. So these aren't folks that are coming here just because they want to come and make trouble in America. They're running or fleeing and looking for refuge somewhere else. That's why they would be refugees in this country. That is part of the problem that I have with the original order, that he didn't give any guidance to Murphy's original statement. He never said they couldn't deport. They just said give them notice, give them a hearing, give them an opportunity to be heard. And so now, do they need the opportunity to be heard? I am not sure, because the court didn't give guidance there.
So it's an emergency hearing, so they don't have to give an explanation. But so what comes next, though, Khalif? Because still, these questions of due process aren't going away. Sending people to Sudan, where they're at risk of torture, even death. What comes next? Because I can't imagine this is the end of the road.
Well, I mean, Judge Murphy's already saying, well, I thank the Supreme Court for saying that, but that plane is still not taking off to go to Sudan. I mean, he just said this yesterday. And so while at the end of the day, I think the Supreme Court didn't do us any favors. And I can walk you through the procedural process. You have the U.S. District Court, Judge Murphy, that made his rulings. Typically, you would go to the Court of Appeals, and that appeal process wouldn't be expedited. But the Trump administration requested, and the Supreme Court granted, this extra and this extraordinary effort to go past the Court of Appeals and go instantly to the Supreme Court on its emergency nature. That, I believe, is part of where the problem started. It should have went through the normal process. Go to the U.S. District Court, go to the Court of Appeals, go to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court, not on an emergency basis, but on an actual hearing basis, hear this case, allow it to be heard in its full entirety, flush out all of the issues, give guidance to the lower inferior courts, and then we would have been and known something. Now you've completely complicated this situation, because all you've done is say, thank you, Judge Murphy, for your order, but the Trump administration can send them like they want to. Well, he never said they couldn't. So I am extremely, I go back to my original statement, confused on why it got there so fast on an emergency basis, why they didn't rule, and why now we are in this situation where we have more questions than answers.
I want to bring this here locally. It's the same vein of just the fear of deportations, right? We've got a lot of migrant communities in the Carolinas. Currently, we have FIFA Club World Cup games that are happening here in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium. We had a match the other day. We have one today. We've got a lot of soccer fans that are scared to even come to the soccer match because they're afraid ICE is going to deport them or take them. Like, what advice? Like, what do you give some of the migrant communities that are even afraid to come watch a match because of what could happen when they step out of their door?
I mean, these are the secondary effects of things that happen when you don't contemplate that. Those are those, okay, I have my first instance, which is getting rid of and deporting people, but then you also talk about people not wanting to interact with the court system because they're scared to go to court. Hallways being, masked with masked men grabbing people out of hearings. This portion with people wanting to go to work, people wanting to go to entertainment, there will be a diminished secondary effect to the economy because these are people that were working, paying taxes, that were integral parts of our society that will now disappear because of fear, and fear always wins.
Our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, weighing in on that. The secondary effect is something that is going to be seen coming days, months, even years. Khalif, thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.